Hey folks, thanks for clicking. If you've watched American Idol through the years, you know not every season is the same. From the type of contestants to the way the show is produced, a lot of variables change from year to year. One thing I've noticed is that some seasons are brutal in terms of how they treat the contestants. In this video, I will be discussing the 5 cruelest seasons of American Idol. Up first at number 5 is season 14, and man oh man was season 14 brutal. The first sin was keeping the rule where half of the top 24 goes home in one cut. All in all, this was a pretty talented group, but it wasn't reflected in their performances because of the way this season was produced. To cut production costs, because paying J-Lo $17.5 million per season ain't cheap, and plummeting ratings and viewership wasn't going to fit the bill, Idol had to get rid of their elimination episodes. This opened a full can of worms for the contestants. First and foremost, it meant less airtime for the contestants, less getting to know them as people. It also means that the way they have to process being eliminated will scar them for life. In past seasons, contestants were able to prepare for a full week to perform their song on performance night and then get a full 24 hours of processing how they did and if they think they might get eliminated and coming to terms with it. This year, Idol said screw feelings, we're broke. Contestants would now be voted in based on the prior week's performance. So to break that down, if you were performing in the top 12 on April 7th, America would vote on that performance and you would find out if you made it to the next round on April 14th. So whether or not you made it to the top 11 in this example, you still had to prepare a full performance. But wait, there's more. If you made it all the way to the top 3, like Jax, you got to prepare an entire 3-song finale and never got the chance to even perform it. On top of all of this, some genius producer decided it would be a good idea to place each contestant in an electric-looking chair. If it lights up green, they're through to the next round and have to immediately go perform. If it lit up red, they were in the bottom 2 and would have to perform for most nights it was a Twitter save against the other contestant in the bottom 2, which was quite X Factor-like. There was also a judge's save this year, but they used it immediately on someone who was objectively not even a good vocalist. I said all this, and I didn't even mention that the summer tour was cut in half, from a top 10 to a mere top 5. And the way they cut this one contestant right before the top 24 shows was just brutal.
Undecided about you and someone else.
In all honesty, and you know this better than anybody, it was Rachel's spot, which is why you were told no.
That way it's not about talent. It's compatibility. That Maddie, you're suited to the top 24.
Needless to say, this was a tough year to be a contestant, and tensions were quite high.
This sucks. We have 2 of the best vocalists. This whole thing is whack.
And if it's that whack, then you can always go home.
When I said that this was whack,
This whole thing, what's whack? It's a competition.
Up next at number 4 is season 8. One change in the show's production can sum up how cruel this season was to its contestants. The top 36 twist. The live shows went from having a top 24 to be the start of the live shows to a top 36, where each week had a different group of 12 contestants perform for a spot in the top 13, of which only 3 contestants would advance to the next round, and the remaining 9 would go home, but still be attached to the American Idol contract for another few weeks because they had the slim chance of getting picked for the wildcard show. 21 contestants would have to pray that they would be the one of the 8 contestants chosen for the wildcard show, where they would have a 1 in 8 shot at going through to the next round. Only 4 of those 8 went through. You legitimately had to stand out against an entire group of 12 and be remembered by the end of the night as being either the best or the second best or the third best to even be considered at having a shot in this season. Not to mention, this was the first time all of these contestants were performing on live TV in their lives. Other than that, this was the first year they made contestants have very uncomfortable and emotional sing for your life type of eliminations on the show. This was introduced all the way at the end of Hollywood Week. If they haven't made their mind up about you, you had to sing a cappella just like that in front of them for your life. Lastly, this season had two big contestant stories that you were bound to be outshined by in Scott McIntyre and Danny Gokey. If you're not familiar, Scott was blind and Danny's wife sadly passed away. Up next at number 3 is Season 15. Season 15 at face value would seem like an amazing year to be an American Idol contestant. The show announced before the season started that it would be its final year and that this would be a big finale and a celebration for the show. The cost of this, however, was bared mainly by the contestants of the show. For starters, they retained all of the brutal cuts of Season 14, which I mentioned, like cutting half the top 24 in one elimination and getting rid of elimination episodes, but this year they made it more about the show and the glory of the show's story and success than the actual contestants. Instead of giving the top 24 an extra round for perhaps a fair shot, they used that time for alumni duets, which were more for the Idol alumni than the actual contestants. They sang the covers the alumni was most known for on the show instead of working on an original cover of their own, which would make the contestant actually shine and grow. Alright, so cheeky top 24 situation. No elimination episodes, and they canceled the summer tour. I guess there's really no better way of saying we don't care about your careers than canceling the dang summer tour. On top of all of that, the finale didn't really feature any of the contestants. It, again, was more of an alumni summit, which, as an Idol fan, I must say was the proper way to end the series, but a slap in the face to the contestants. Up next at number 2 is Season 13, and a special Hollywood or home round was introduced this season where contestants were eliminated soon after they landed in the LAX airport before they even reached Hollywood. 52 contestants the judges were uncertain of performed solo in an airplane hangar. I'm not making this up. And 32 were sent back to the airport. The 160 contestants left then proceeded on to Hollywood and performed in groups of 10. The Hollywood rounds ended with a top 30, and the semifinals were rebranded Rush Week. Everyone had moved on to this round thinking their dream of performing live on American Idol was going to finally come true. Nope. The judges eliminated 5 of each gender before they even had a chance to perform in front of the live studio audience. This season was a complete and utter bloodbath. The contestants themselves had really amazing radio voices and extremely rich tones. Probably the season I would point out of every year to say this was the top 12 with the richest tones. That said, as a group, most of them were not very skilled vocalists, so the bloodbath just seemed nonsensical, as it was not very easy to compare each contestant and compare who actually deserved to make it through to the next round. All of this for what? It would be fractionally justifiable to treat the contestants this way if the outcome was that they would be successful after the show, or at least that they were going to be affiliated with someone who ended up becoming a household name. But no. Most of the episodes this season had under 10 million viewers, and many people reported that this is the year they decided not to sign on for additional seasons, and the year they decided to cancel by season 15, which happened. The winner of this season, Caleb Johnson, had his single debut at only 10,000 digital downloads, and it did not chart. Beyond that, if you ever auditioned for the show and did not make it on and want to feel better about yourself, please look up the season 13 summer tour. I don't even know how to describe it. It's eerie. I've never been to the North Korea regime, but it reminds me of what a concert would feel like there if they were ever allowed to have one. Half-filled audience, quiet, lower-end concert halls, and the looks on the contestants' faces just said, yeah, we know, this is more intimate than you had in mind. Before we get to number 1, I just want to say that I'm really enjoying making these videos, and I'm really excited to roll out some more soon. To help support me, please make sure that you're subscribed and have the notification bell turned on, because it's really tough for smaller channels to end up in the recommended and featured pages. Alright, back to it. At the number 1 spot of being American Idol's cruelest season is easily season 18, or as ABC would like to rebrand it, season 3. I would actually say every single season on ABC has been incredibly cruel to the contestants, but there's just so much to unpack there that that's an entire video for another day. This was, of course, 2020's season, where we were in the middle of a pandemic and under lockdown restrictions right before the live shows could start. So imagine their realities. They just made the top 20, and instead of performing live on a national stage, they were going to perform pre-taped in their kitchens and living rooms. Look, I take my hat off to the producers who were just following orders and the contestants who were really just trying to make it work, but that was a money grab. Idol did not do this for the contestants. They did it for the show. Although they had only 5 to 7 million viewers per episode, it was up from last year because people were stuck at home and there were less live cable options. To take it one step forward, they did the winner Just Sam so dirty. Because of the way they made it so only certain parts of the country could vote on finale night, everyone online attacked her for an illegitimate win. To make matters worse, her prize did not even get delivered. She was signed by Hollywood Records with the promise of releasing something, an album, a single, something. No luck. She was dropped around a year later and had to release her first single, Africando, all on her own. I never really get mad about these types of things because it's a TV show, but where is the accountability? I'm not even necessarily a fan of hers, but seriously, how could you treat a winner that way? I think the way they executed the live shows were absolutely terrible. Terrible to the contestants, terrible to watch, just terrible. There were only 4 live shows, which means that to win, you only needed to perform on the live show 4 nights. That's not a diss to the winner, that's a diss to whoever's idea that was. If that weren't all bad enough, Katy Perry showed off her celebrity privilege that night by performing her new hit single live on stage with a full set and the works, while the finalists were still stuck in their kitchens. I genuinely couldn't believe my eyes. This was the biggest slap in the face in Idol history. These kids needed that platform, not Katy Perry. By the way, we love Katy, and this was probably not even her decision. She did a fantastic job, but it was a bad idea. If I were producing the show that year, I would have the top 11, I guess it was, instead perform at their local bar or wherever there's a local stage in that area. These were, of course, all shut down, so they would not need to worry about booking over space, and what local business wouldn't want free TV time? It's good for local businesses and the contestants. Social distancing standards could be carried out because they could have just had the performer singing with a backtrack. The set could have just been a screen set up by the producer a full day or even a week before. But of course, that would have been too much work for the show's money grab year. Anyway, that's all the time we have for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know in the comments below if you agree with the rankings or how you would rank the Cruelest seasons in your opinion. Please make sure you comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.